It's got you screaming Oxidean. Starting with the carbon.
Howdy, folks. This customer was lucky enough to purchase himself an Animal Cat AC2E-Q. The AC2E-Q is the one that comes with our Quasar talking GPS radio. Everything in here is to remain stock, but we're going to jazz it up. We're going to set up his system, and we're going to make a really nice stock AC2E-Q. He got some speed run props and a couple things. As far as the boat itself, we're going to show you how it's done. We're going to document the whole entire setup process. I'm going to show you everything it takes to set up an AC2E-Q on your own. First, let's set up the radio and calibrate the ESCs. I'm not going to go through the full calibration process because it's only me holding the phone. But what I'm going to do is, these ESCs are both already plugged into the Y. I'm going to plug one ESC at a time directly into the receiver and calibrate each separately. You don't do it with both of them in the Y because it's going to feed back to each other. ESCs are calibrated. Now on the Y harness, both the red wire on these two the red wire there on both sides, those both feed power into the receiver. You don't need power from two ESCs into the receiver. What it ends up doing is feeding power back to the other ESC. So I'm going to clip one of these little red wires. I like to cut it towards the middle so I can reattach it if need be. Hobbywing made our ESCs with the wire attachment from the plug to work with our Quasar. You don't need it on both sides, so we actually removed it on this side. On the other end, this wire isn't long enough to reach the receiver, so I cut it off right at the plug so I can splice the correct harness in. Clean the area with acetone, slid the grommet through here, put the double-sided tape that was provided and stuck the GPS on. 1/4-inch drill bit to drill the hole for the grommet. Now soldering the voltage sensor wires. I use a jig and precision solder it. Shrink tubing. Come back with another hoop. Go over it and shrink them both down. There you have it, a full length. I'm going to do this patron a favor. A dab of dielectric grease in each of these plugs of the harness so water doesn't short them. Now electronically, this boat is all but set. ESC's calibrated, all the wires ran. All we have to do is center the steering. We're going to do that when we set up the steering. Next, we're going to bag the receiver in a balloon as well as run the wire. Okay, so before I set up the steering, what I'm going to do is center the servo. It's typically centered, but see how this moves? This can easily get moved. You know what I mean? And it needs to be centered to do it correctly. So what I'm going to do is turn on the radio. Now that everything's plugged in, of course. Turn on the radio. Then watch the servo center itself when I turn the button on.
Receiver battery 6.0 volt. External battery 16.5 volt.
You hear that? I got a voltage reading. That means everything is working, all the telemetry. I won't get a GPS reading because I'm indoors and the satellites need to find themselves. Sometimes they do indoors, but don't count on it. Now, I use rechargeable batteries in the transmitter, so I tend to leave the radio on when I'm working on the steering. Because when I unscrew this, the servo won't move. If it does, it moves itself back to the correct position. When it's on like this, throughout the procedure, I can assure that this is straight. Next, let's jump on this steering. Pull the steering assembly out of the bag. These pivots go forward. Do it with one hand once again. I'm going to take a 1.5 millimeter loosen set screw and take the pin out. But first things first, I like to route the cables. So the cable routes through this ram. It'll be at a bit of an angle like that. Routes through it and goes through the hull. This pivot pin right here has a hole in it that the cable can come through. Look at the direction the cable is wound. When you're putting it in by the end, you're going to twist it in the opposite direction as if it's winding the cable up. You don't want to twist it in a way that loosens the cable up. Once you slide it in and move it around and find where the hole comes through, you can see inside there, there's a hole it goes into. Match it there and twist. Route it on through. That's where it goes into the ram, like that. It will stick out like that, and do the other side. Now I've loosened that grub screw and slipped the pin out. Set the rudder up in its position. Put the pin in. Okay, on these builds, I don't put the pin all the way in because you have to take the bottom of the rudder off to push it back out. But typically you're going to put it all the way in, make sure the flat spot's corresponding, and tighten that set screw. Now you're going to thread these in because you haven't secured them up here yet, so you can turn them. It's not a problem. Turn that in. Keep turning it, turn it, turn it. But what you're going to do is you're going to leave a couple threads for adjustability in case you want to tighten or loosen the tension. Now I've got both sides done. Still loose up here. Moving right along, we got this steering set up precisely. Again, I left the radio on, routed the cables, secured them. We went with the simple steering because this is his first RC boat. And the less complication, the more simplicity, the better. Shrunk wrap the ends of the cables just to make sure everything stays neat for him and doesn't get all frayed for him. We put 2 screws in here to reinforce the tray. And that goes to tell you and show you what you get with Oxidean Marine. These other people that sell RC boats in the USA, the electric boats, they don't even run RC boats. They don't work on them. They don't build them. And that's why we're not worried about tariffs, because we build ours here. They don't know to put these extra screws in here. They don't know how to shrink these little things. They don't run boats, so they don't know how to give you this personalized service. Now, this gentleman called and asked, he bought his boat. He actually bought a Rampage as well, but he wanted me to get this thing set up turnkey for him. I'm doing that for him free of charge because of how much he spent with us. You can't get that if you buy boats other places. They don't play with boats. They don't run them. They don't set them up. So they can't offer you things like that. But back to our build. Now we have ballooned and positioned his receiver. I like balloons. That's what I use. They're easy to get in and out of. And they allow you to get the receiver as close as you can to the outlet, because I like as much antenna sticking up as possible, because the more antennas sticking up, the better reception you're going to get. All right, let's get into a little radio programming for the guy. Turn this thing on. What we're going to do is adjust his EPA. Base setting. Endpoint. Right. Turn down to about 65. Left. Actually, right. 65. You don't need a bunch of throw, because that's just going to make the boat hook. All right, let's name the model though. Now, so when the gentleman turns the boat on, rename. Delete. All caps, animal. Okay. Now right here at the top it says animal. And now we're here. Yes, we are here. A completely set up Oxidean Marine Animal Twin Cat, and not this cat, AC2E-Q. I went ahead and used 2-part expanding foam in its lid, 2-part expanding foam inside the entire hull. The hull is foamed up solid to about right here. Then we have foam all the way up to here. I use closed cell foam up at the top so it looks even better. This makes the hull basically like a surfboard. Completely filled with foam. It's not gonna flex, it's not gonna do anything. This guy can wreck at well over 120 miles an hour, over and over and over and over again, without a care in the world, without a worry on his mind. Again, these boats are custom set up like this because I do 100 miles an hour over and over and over and over and over and over again. Look how many videos I have of you seeing me going well over 100 miles an hour. Like I said, this guy just bought 2 boats. He bought a Rampage and he bought this. But because of his loyalty to our brand and our service, I did all this setup in this foam form for free. And that's what's going on over here. We appreciate you guys. We don't show our appreciation by just donating to a few races here and there, chucking a few parts and saying, look at us, we're cool, we gave some money to a race. We don't limit it to racers. We'd rather extend our courtesy to those who really support us. And we mean real, genuine courtesy, not just chucking a few parts here and there. We use our actual skills, the magic we've learned through racing. If you're interested in the Animal Twin Cat, be it the Quasar version with this beautiful gold radio that talks with a GPS on it, or any of our other boats, simply give us a call or order one online. We're the only dealer that you can actually call. And if you like this presentation, subscribe to our channel, smash that like button, and by all means, continue enjoying radio-controlled model boating. Bill Oxidean, the AC2E-Q, and Fluffy the Cat, over and out.